Hello, custom car enthusiasts, and welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. As you can see there, we've got the purple monster, as I'm calling it, held up in the air, and that's because we need to basically rebuild the entire back end of it. We've taken everything off here, and I've actually just pretty much purchased everything that was back there because it all needed to go. So let's go ahead and put the new tires on the new rims, get them balanced, and then we will go ahead and start on rebuilding the car here. We'll say it sort of looks like a basic tire that's on there, not exactly the ones that we have, but that's alright. So yeah, pretty much everything, as you can see here, is new. We've got the brake shoes are still the same ones they were, and the drum wheel cylinders and the drive shaft. But beyond, oh, and the drive axles. Everything else, though, that's from the back end has all been taken off and replaced. So let's jump in here and let's start adding parts in, starting with the new leaf spring rear drive axle. We'll add in the new leaf spring with the new bushings to it, new knuckle housing, new shock absorber. This will possibly be a shorter episode because there's really not too much to do here other than reassemble. And with all the parts being nice and new, shouldn't take that long and shouldn't have any issues. But we'll see. You never know. Could come across some kind of an issue. I also may consider doing a small car, just something extra there. We'll see on that as well. Alright, that side is taken care of now. Let's jump over here, put on the new leaf spring on this side. I do realize I'm missing something that I do need to add over on that other side still, but we'll get there here in a moment. Before we get too involved around this side, let's get the missing part over here. Huh, I can't put on the part there. Maybe the drive shaft has to be put in first? Don't know. I know something is missing. Ah, there, I see it now. Needed this as well as the U-bolts for it, which also, shockingly, are new. So yeah, the back end of this car is going to run really nicely at this point because everything has pretty much been replaced on it. Alright, so all that's been put in there. Get the drive wheel cylinder on there for the brakes. Get the axle reinstalled. Get the brake shoes on that were okay enough. New brake drums. And then that new tire. Alright. In theory then, everything should be reading green, and it is. So we can get rid of this vehicle. But you know what? That was a very short episode then, so I'm going to go ahead and see what we can find over here. Sort of a basic car, basic car. We've done a lot of those, and we've done those. You know what? I'm going to take this nice small little car here. We've got... Yeah, let's take this small little car here. Something a little bit different. Tiny little car with the Italian flag on it. Alrighty then. Wow, it actually has a decent amount of faults to it. So let's go ahead and take it over to the test path. See if we can find all those faults right away. We'll probably do test path and test track on this one. So let's go ahead over here. Start with the test track. See how this little car is. I mean, considering I was driving a boat here just recently. Looks very nice inside the car. Very economy car. Not much in the way of speed, but really what do you expect with something so tiny? I feel like I need some Italian music playing as I'm driving this. Alright, we almost got airborne there on those little humps because just how small the car is. Trying to wind it up as much as I can. Not exactly a high top speed. Brakes seem to work nicely though. Alright, so definitely some parts that we found there. Not that huge of a deal. Let's get on the test path here. Yeah, it's very, I mean, I used to drive a Hyundai Accent, and it's got that same sort of economy car feel on the inside here, which is not a bad thing. It's definitely a good value type of car, which, I mean, that's what you want, so. Here's the part that I think is going to tell me some stuff, hopefully. Yeah, front suspension on the one side is definitely bad. And on the other side, it's really bad on the back. Alright. So does that find everything that we have? No, we're still missing a few parts. Let's go ahead and get it over to the lifter. Take a look here. After having that boat of a car up in the air, this has got to be feeling like light work here for the ramp. Alright, so examine mode. Alright, for the most part, these parts up here look pretty good. Oh, here's where we got some issues going on. Alright, so let's see about some of these other parts here, just to see if they're worn as well. Doesn't look like it. I think that we're gonna be more in the category of stuff on the back end being the problem here instead of the front end. Alright, so let's head to the back. Yeah. There are still parts not discovered, but I'm having a feeling that it's probably going to be some of the bushings and such on this back end here. So let's go ahead and disassemble this side back end here. Get that out of there. This one's a bit more of a complex design than I'm used to for these. Guess because of the small area in which it resides. Definitely seeing a lot of pieces that need to be evaluated and taken apart here for sure. Oh, those two rubber bushings also need to come off. Alright, the two on that side seem to be good, so it was really everything over on that side. Now let's get to this side. Take this apart. I think everything else up front here is okay. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah, we got everything there. So, we just need to replace those pieces, and we should be good. So I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pause here. Instead of starting a new video, we'll just pause, I'll go buy the stuff, and then we'll reassemble this. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I got all the things purchased. I did have to separate this shock absorber here, so let's put it back together with the new spring in it, because that was the one part that we had to replace on it. I am sort of curious if that is acceptable or not. I guess we will see here soon enough, because everything else I went ahead and replaced all the different parts on. With the shock absorber, I went ahead and just replaced what was necessary on it there, which was the spring. So, get in here and we'll go ahead and put these different parts back in. Alright. Now I did adhere to the rules, so like down here where we have the hub, I had to replace the hub, but the actual hub bearing on the front I believe was good, but you know what, since I was replacing the one in the back, I went ahead and replaced both of them, because again, I don't want it to have an issue where it doesn't work. So if I'm replacing one, I'll just replace both of them. A little bit of expense, but not the end of the world. Let's get this tie rod in here. This outer tie rod in there. Alright, that should do it for the front end. Now we have the much more complicated back end, which I will say is more complicated than I have seen on a back end before. Get these rubber bushings in here first. That's the kind of thing I always forget otherwise. Get that rear housing, the knuckle in place. Then there are suspension arms all over for this, just because of the compact size of it, I think. So we got that suspension arm. We have this suspension arm. Bushing that goes in there. And same thing with the bushings. I replaced all of them. So here we have this suspension arm also. Like I said, lots of suspension arms, and I think it's just because of the narrow area that this is all in. And that suspension arm. Alright, We got the spring cap that's new, the rear spring that's new, and the rear shock absorber cap that is not new. Sway bar end length. Usually I'm used to those on the front of the car, but this time we have one in the back of the car here because of the fact, again, as I said, of the narrow space. Now this is the wheel hub bearing that I think had to be replaced, but as I said, we went ahead and replaced both just to make sure everything was good. Let's get the brake disc in, that's still the old one. Brake pads that are old. The old caliper. And this tire back on. Alright, is that all the parts I had? Looks like it. And did it take care of the issue? Looks like it. Perfect. So let's go ahead and get that car out of here. And with that, we're still far away from the next level, but I do feel good about what we did in this video. We ended the story mission and we fixed this little car up. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end things here. If you enjoyed what I did in this episode, please go ahead and click that like button. If you've not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, so that you're aware when I produce new videos in the future. Thank you, and I hope to see you again for more Car Mechanic Simulator 2018.